What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is BoogieSnacks. You could go ahead and call me Boogie, and there are a lot of new people that are just starting to read and collect manga. With the surplus of people coming not only into my channel, but into the manga community in general, I would like to, on behalf of my whole community, say welcome to all of the new folks that have just discovered this new hobby. This video will be directed at you guys. We will go over some tips and tricks about manga collecting, things I wish I knew when I started collecting manga, and for those of us that have been around the block and been with me on the channel or reading manga or collecting manga a lot longer than I have, stick around because I might say some stuff that you haven't heard before in videos like these. Also, at the end of the video, I will give you 3 great manga recommendations that I wish I knew about when I first started collecting and reading manga. Before we go ahead and jump on into today's video, I want to ask you at home the question that I'm going to answer here at the end of the video, which is, what would be a manga series that you wish you knew or got to read earlier when you first started collecting manga? For those of us that are new here in the community, go down below in the comment section and go look at some of those titles, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of incredible manga recommendations down there. Now, if you're into anime, manga, or just like the vibes here in general, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. I have a lot of fun videos planned for 2022 that I can't wait to show you. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and kick this video off. There's a lot to dive into. I'll see you in just a second. So I think the first thing I should say here in the beginning of the video is something that I caught myself doing when I first started collecting manga, is just have patience. It's really addictive to not only start hauling a lot of manga, but then something also happens when, let's say we buy our first bookshelf and you start seeing a bunch of empty space. I'm noticing a lot of people want to fill up their bookshelves as quickly as possible, and then, you know, you run into the problem of, I don't have any more space to put these books. So trust me, you're just trading one problem for another. The manga isn't going anywhere, especially if it's something that's regularly releasing. I know right now there's a lot of things that are out of stock, and yes, some things do go out of print, but the biggest piece of advice I can give, and manga collectors out there that have been with me for a while on this channel, you know, you can give your 2 cents on this down below, but patience really goes a long way, especially if you're willing to wait for sales, which we'll get to later on in the video. Okay, the responsible part of the video is done. Now we can go ahead and move forward. All right, so now let's talk about actual manga. Now, one thing I do want to mention first is when I first started collecting manga, one of the big things I wish I knew is sometimes size does matter. Oh my God. Like I was saying before, it's good to check how long a series is because it could be ongoing at 30, 40 volumes, 20 plus volumes, and you need to make the decision if you want that sort of commitment in your life. That's a lot of money to throw down on a series if you're collecting it physically, and it's also going to take up a lot of shelf space. So that's one big thing to remember. Yes, you might have found this amazing series, but do you have the time to collect all of it? Do you have, you know, is it financially okay for you to collect all of it? And is there the space to handle all of those volumes? Okay, quickly moving on, and we're making pretty good time here in this video. I'm actually pretty happy about that. This next topic has always been a point of interest with videos like this and just general good advice, but it has been especially relevant from 2020 to now going into 2022. And that's gonna have to be the whole issue in and of itself of out of stock manga. Now, I know a lot of people, especially over the course of the pandemic, have now started to collect physical manga, and you're running into a problem where you either can't find volume 1 or you're missing a lot of volumes in between of the series that you're looking for. Now, over the course of the pandemic, there has been supply chain issues, paper shortages, people getting sick, printing industry problems in general. All of this coupled with the fact that manga's popularity in general is just going through the roof. And unfortunately, I don't have a magical piece of advice that's gonna immediately help you find out of stock manga. It's just really hard to pick up certain volumes from certain series right now. Much like I said in the very beginning of this video, I think the most important thing moving forward is just to have some patience. Now, that being said, there are things that we can do, and the number one thing that we can do to ensure that we get manga that is going to come out, so this doesn't help you with series that is already out, but it does help you with series that are coming out soon, is of course pre-ordering. Pre-ordering is great for all parties involved. It helps the vendors, it helps you ensure that you get the copy that you want, and it also just doesn't do anything for scalpers, because what can they do if you already have the volume? Another thing to always do is if you're interested in collecting a series, you might want to check, especially if you're starting to see a lot of them out of stock, if it's out of print. Now, out of stock versus out of print is an entirely different beast, and we'll touch on that a little later in the video, but it's always good to check to see if a series that you're interested in is indeed out of print, because it's gonna take a few extra steps to get those volumes that you want. Okay, now quickly moving on, one of the most frequently asked questions that I get is, where do I buy my manga? Time after time after time of responding to this question, it's made me realize that it's so vastly different for a lot of us, because I happen to live in Los Angeles, where I have easy access to not only online retailers, but a lot of individual manga shops that are all around me, not that far of a drive. Unfortunately, and actually there is a large population of people that just have a very hard time finding and getting their hands on physical manga sometimes. So let me know down below maybe which country you're in, and if you have a difficult time actually finding physical manga. So in efforts to answer this question in the most grand way possibly that I could think of, I asked you guys over on Twitter, and boy did you guys come out with a lot of answers. So what I did is I went through all of your comments and I made this little chart that you should be seeing on screen right now that you can screenshot just to access later on. I think a really important thing that I always mention in videos that have this sort of vibe is to buy locally. I think they're such an integral part of the community, not here on YouTube, but in your life and in your community. So I will always be a huge advocate of maybe, you know, throw in the local businesses, some of your business if at all possible. Okay, now quickly moving on. This is one that I've been so excited to tell you about because I've never seen this tips or tricks in any one of these video styles before here on YouTube. A lot of workplaces actually have incentive programs, and you can find out more about this at your own specific workplace, but they have incentive programs where you can find a way to earn gift cards, and some of these can be to Amazon or other online retailers that happen to sell anime or manga. This has been a great way for me to get some guilt-free manga on the side where I really didn't have to think about it, and it was nice to get like a $100 gift card to Amazon or to Barnes & Noble and just be able to spend some money and just it being guilt-free, and I got some manga shipped to my house. In 2021, I probably got, let's say, $200 worth of just free manga from my work without ever having to really do anything extra. Okay, now we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about used manga and online places such as eBay or Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot that could be said here. In fact, it probably warrants its own video, so if you want that, let me know down below in the comment section. Websites like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, r/MangaSwap, Mercari, Craigslist, and so many more are all viable options to purchase manga. Now, websites like these, especially if you have a little bit of disposable income, are also going to be some of the most popular websites to go get out of print manga. Also, make sure definitely go check out r/MangaSwap over on Reddit. That's a really cool community where you can buy or even trade for manga with each other. It's very popular. Okay, quickly moving along, let's talk about digital manga. It's time, let's dive into it a little bit. You would be surprised how many people just cannot read digitally, especially in the manga collecting community, and they only read physically. I, of course, still prefer to read physically. However, over time, I have become accustomed and grown to like reading digital as well. Now, if you can get over the fact that, of course, there's no physical book and you're reading on an iPad or your computer or something like that, some digital device, there's a lot of benefits that come along with reading digital. I think first and foremost, there are going to be a lot more series that we will start to see being digital only as we move forward, as it seems that a lot of the industry is going in that direction. Now, of course, if a series does well enough digitally in English, we might get a physical release, especially if it's just incredibly popular. We just saw this with Tokyo Revengers. And on top of everything, there are a lot of digital only manga titles that are absolutely incredible that you just can't get your hands on physically. Digital manga has some incredible sales, especially when it comes down to bundles. If you have a Twitter, make sure you're following me over on Twitter because I am always retweeting when these bundles are getting promoted. That way you can easily identify them and go ahead and jump on those sales. Now, if you're looking for a platform to read digital manga on, I think some of the most popular ones, of course, would be the Crunchyroll app, which you might already have if you have a premium Crunchyroll subscription, and of course, Bookwalker and Comixology. Now, there is one thing I didn't mention that everyone talks about when it comes to digital manga, and the elephant in the room, which you might have already noticed, is the Viz Media App. I've gone over this app so much on this channel. For $1.99, you get access to their vault of manga that has some incredible titles. The only real cap that they have is you have 100 chapters per day that you can read. Another added benefit is being able to try these series out digitally, and of course, if you like them so much and you want to collect them physically at that point, well then you're more than welcome to do so. Now, some examples of some very popular series that you will see on the Viz app are the following: One Piece, My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, Sakamoto Days, Spy Family, Kaiju Number 8, Dr. Stone, Food Wars, One Punch Man, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and so many more. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of places on where to buy manga, but what about when to buy manga? A lot of people do this strategy where they don't buy a lot of manga throughout the year except for these really big sales, and then they go all in on those sales, dropping a pretty penny. It would be a huge video and almost an impossible video to try to do, to go over all of the sales in the manga community. That would be an insane video idea. Some of the most popular ones in my community are as follows, and you should see them on screen right now. Of course, we have to mention the amazing Right Stuff deals that have the bundles that we all love and the incredible pricing that Right Stuff offers. Of course, if you'd like to support the channel, my affiliate link will be down below. Thank you for everyone that has been clicking that link. Barnes & Noble also has amazing sales. They just had a 50% off hardcover sale, which is incredible. But they also, every once in a while, have a buy two, get one free deal. Amazon also has sales once in a blue moon, but Amazon also does have sales once in a blue moon that you can look for. Now, once again, I recommend following me over on Twitter because I do repost these things as they come to my attention. Therefore, you'll find quick access to that information, which is a perfect segue into the next topic here, which is Twitter. Twitter is a hub of information, especially for the manga community, where a lot of the info comes to us in real time. Now, you might be wondering, Boogie, where do I get information on when next manga titles are coming out, when new manga titles are coming out, conventions, so on and so forth? And while yes, you can go to individual, event pages, their own official websites or publisher websites, yes, that information will be there, but everyone is posting that information on Twitter. It's also a phenomenal way to get involved in the community, follow a few channels, have fun, and I think you'll be surprised by how quickly information comes out over on Twitter and the sheer amount of information and manga stuff that you can find just on Twitter alone. So one of the biggest pieces of advice I always give is find your home over on Twitter. Whether you use the platform or not, maybe you can just use it as a news platform for that reason. Trust me, at least look into it. Next is one that I miss so much, but if you're looking for a very unique place to not only buy manga, but just merchandise in general, there are conventions. I miss going to conventions so much. Let me know if anyone is planning to go to conventions in LA. I think once Anime Expo opens back up in LA, it'd be really cool to meet some of you guys if you end up going. And of course, you can purchase a plethora of different types of merchandise, clothing, so on and so forth at cons, but you can also buy manga. And I know a lot of people will save up some money to go bulk buy manga over at cons. It might be a very fun, memorable, adventurous way to go to a con and buy some manga. I would remember that for sure. Quickly moving on, I had the privilege to experience this one that I'm about to talk about in just a second, very, very early on when I first started collecting manga, because I have a YouTube channel. And because I had a YouTube channel, when I first started hauling manga, I had a bunch of comments from people giving me wonderful manga recommendations from a bunch of different genres of manga. There's nothing wrong with liking one genre or two genres. Maybe you're just into seinens and shonens and this is your thing, or maybe you're just into Shonen Jump and that is your thing. But there is a lot of beautiful and epic storytelling across a wide range of genres within the manga community. Check out different genres. Check out some romance series. Check out some action series. Check out some romance action mystery series. Check out some slice of life series. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I think what you might do by broadening your horizons is find some incredible storytelling and just wonderful new manga titles to add to your collection and just read. Moving along, we're gonna quickly mention one thing that I'm always a huge advocate of, and that is libraries. I've always said here on my platform that we do not need to own every manga title that we read. And a great way to do this and to also get out of the house, maybe go on an adventure, is going to the library. Now, once again, I might have Los Angeles bias. I have access to a lot of really big libraries with a big selection of manga, and I understand that for a lot of us, maybe your public library is small, maybe doesn't even have any manga. So of course, this is gonna vary pending your location. In fact, I'd be interested to know if your library has any manga. Let me know down below in the comment sections, but it's a viable option and I highly, highly recommend it. Next is going to be some websites that I highly recommend looking into and creating an account on. Let's talk about My Anime List, or MAL, and AniList. Essentially, these websites are otaku social sites where you can rank and catalog different anime, manga, and light novels that you've read or watched. Now, there's a lot of other features on this website that are incredibly useful, like dates, when new manga is gonna come out, new anime titles are gonna come out, and also reviews of different anime and manga. Of course, you can also add each other as friends, and there's a whole social networking aspect to the site. But once again, look into My Anime List and AniList. I'll leave a link to both of them down below in the description box. I just overall highly recommend it, and you'll notice a lot of people tend to use this website in the community. Okay, moving on, let's quickly talk about yellowing when it comes to physical manga. You might notice that some of your older volumes, or perhaps if you're buying manga secondhand, they might be sort of yellow. It would look like this. So here is a white brand new volume of Ajin volume number 1. As you can see here, very new, no yellowing at all. Now here is a used copy, kind of an older copy of Yu Yu Hakusho volume number 3 that I did not buy new, and you can see the stark difference here. Now a lot of collectors do not like this. However, it is a very natural process for manga or books or merchandise in general. Now, by far the most common way that this happens is, of course, natural sunlight hitting your manga collection. So you'll notice a lot of collectors will try to position their bookshelves in an area of the house that is constantly in the shade, where it's not near open windows or anything like that for that matter. Now, if this happens to you, there are ways to slightly reverse it. It will never be perfect and pristine again, but there are ways to do that. If you want, I can do a dedicated video on that. Let me know down below in the comment section. Okay, now let's enter the speed run mode here, where we're gonna go over a lot of really cool tips and tricks that I think you guys should know, or my opinions on some things. We're gonna do this very, very quickly. Number 1, if you start liking a manga series, pay attention to the mangaka, and by looking up the mangaka, that might be a great avenue to find really phenomenal manga recommendations that you might like. Number 2, you might hear a term called blind buying thrown around in the manga community. What that means is that you're buying manga, whether it be physically or digital, with not a whole lot of information based off of that series. You are going into it blindly. Number 3, manga collecting is not a race. Collect and purchase at your own pace and your own budget. Number 4, one of the most popular bookshelves to get in the manga collecting community, of course, are the Billy bookshelves from IKEA. You've probably seen it on multiple manga tubers videos in the community. Number 5, we are in crazy times, so please, whether it comes down to box sets, new releases, omnibuses, and anything in between, do not be surprised if we are experiencing delays, especially with pre-orders. Okay, and you've made it to the end of the video, where I'm gonna give you 3 manga recommendations that I wish that I discovered much earlier on when I first started collecting and reading manga. For the first one, I think this comes as no surprise to anyone that's been watching my channel for a while. I am by far probably the only YouTuber out there right now on this platform that is shilling this hard for this series. But to be honest, when you guys DM me, whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, that you actually ended up following my recommendation and picking the series up and you actually really like it, it makes me doing this over and over and over again so much more worth it. I'm talking about Hina Matsuri. Hina Matsuri is a slice of life comedy, more leaning towards the slice of life but with some heavy comedic elements, and do not let those comedic elements distract you from the various serious undertones that are happening throughout this series. Time of recording this video in early 2022, there are 13 volumes out in total that you can pick up in English physically right now. One beautiful thing about this series is that they are all readily available. Okay, these are all readily available. You should not find this out of stock all too often. Next is a series that I mentioned briefly in the video, but let's talk about Ajin Demi-Human. Now, this series actually just finished up, so it's a great time to jump into reading this series physically because it's all out. You can pick this all up and binge read it all at once if you want. Ajin Demi-Human is going to be your mystery, sci-fi, action seinen that's just this one giant adventure that I think you're really going to like. Ajin is a completed series with 16 physical volumes in its collection. You know that I'm always bringing up this highly relatable, very funny series called Wotakoi Love is Hard for Otaku. The premise of the story is following a group of friends who find themselves working in an office setting, a 9-to-5 setting, who keep the otaku and gamer side of the life very hidden and tucked away except for with themselves. Story about adults falling in love and having similar hobbies and accepting themselves, all while being absolutely hilariously adorable. I highly recommend this. It's incredibly relatable. You're gonna find yourself laughing at some stuff that maybe you've experienced in your own life. Once again, the anime is amazing. You can check it out over on Amazon Prime. Very well done. Okay, now that was a lot of information. Let me know if you got something useful out of this video, and I think we can go ahead and wrap things up here. Once again, I would like to welcome all of the new people into the community. We love having you, and I'm so happy that you've picked up manga and manga collecting in your life. If you'd like to go ahead and support the channel, go ahead and hit that like button down below. It lets me know that you're watching at home and I can continue to make more content just like this. And of course, as always, nothing has changed. If you'd like to stick around for more videos, go ahead and mash that subscribe button. We would love to have you in the community. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good night.